First of all, thanks for having me. And there's no question about it. To say these are challenging times is really understating what's going on around us. So I think in the pecking order, I would say that because of the times that we are experiencing just now, health is one issue, and safety and security of people who work at PVR and their extended families is the number one message, I think, because in the pecking order, that's the most important thing that matters. And as the old cliche goes, "Jaan hai to jahan hai," health comes first. So I think even when I'm talking to my team, business is one side. Of course, it's got devastated, it's got badly impacted. But I think my message currently is really for people to take care of their loved ones. Don't drop their guards. And of course, be very safe. Get all the protocols which are there. Adhere to that. Get yourself vaccinated. Get yourself tested. All the time to make sure that the virus doesn't spread. So I'm not responsible for millions and billions of people the way world leaders are. But we have about 15,000 people working in PVR. If you multiply that by 4 of a family, each family will, so 60 to 70,000 people roughly we have direct control over. So I thought at least that's the minimum we can do to at least get this message across first, that please take care of yourself and your families and don't sort of get relaxed at all about the fact that this virus has gone away. It has not gone away. It's come back in a very very vicious form again. So that's really the first thing. Second, of course, you have to then, as I said, it's difficult to be so myopic and only talk about your business currently. But definitely you need to send a positive signal and let them know that, hundreds and hundreds of years, I think 1870s, the first cinema opened in India, in Calcutta. So since then, lots of things the cinema industry has faced, the video boom, the Spanish flu, the Great War, so many global events have happened, the Great Depression, World War I, World War II, but yet cinemas have bounced back. There's always been also an advent of, at-home entertainment, in-home entertainment, in the form of television. Then television became colored, then it became multi-channeled, then, VHS came, DVDs came, so many things happened. And yet cinemas survive because, it's all human nature. People like a shared experience. They like to go out. So you have to keep reminding the team that, fine, we're going through an extremely difficult period, but at the same time, there is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. The tunnel is extremely long this time, but there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel, simply because human nature cannot be something that can be suppressed. After all this is over, people are going to go out and they're going to consume entertainment. If you look at the examples of UK and US, in fact, the subscriptions of OTT platforms, ever since they've been able to control the virus through very high percentage of vaccination, the subscription rates have come down. Rates means numbers of subscription, because people are just wanting to go out now. I'm not saying that they're necessarily gone to the cinema straight away, because brand new movies still haven't started coming, but they just want to get out. Restaurants, they want to go out to parks and all those things that they were deprived of because they were incarcerated in their homes. So I think that's human nature, which is going to make our business survive as a number one thing in the pecking order. So you have to keep communicating. You have to always be calm. You have to make sure that you send a positive signal, realistic signal, but positive at the same time.
Yes, but would you agree, Mr. Bijli, that this is a bit of an unusual situation, something that we have not experienced in the past, given that it's a black swan event, as everyone is describing it. So in light of this pandemic and COVID in particular, how has PVR dealt with the fear of job losses with employees and just, in general, pivoting the strategy, keeping the morale up?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no question about the fact. I'm not at all saying that it's not something which is massively vicious. I mean, all the newspaper articles that you read, and when they talk about it to be a second wave, a lot of people have correctly said it's not a wave, it's a tsunami. But there's no question about it. It's a very, very grave situation. But then there's no choice but to keep your chin up and communicate with people. Of course, some very hard decisions had to be taken. And because cinema revenues have completely come to a standstill, we had 100 million people who visited our cinemas till March 15th, 2020. Then suddenly nobody visited because the revenues almost came to a zilch. Only for a brief period when partial lockdowns were lifted, we opened. But then, of course, we had to take those hard decisions of letting go of people. And some were permanently on our rolls, some were just outsourced, like housekeeping, security, and so many else. We had to get rid of a lot of people. And also we had to ask, and in fact, I'm very blessed because voluntarily about 7,000 people in our company, they came forward and they took haircuts on their salaries. So that was also very heartening. So that's the bulk of our expenditure. The second expenditure is, of course, with the developers, the rents that we have to pay. We have about 180 odd properties across 850, 60 screens in the country. So every developer we had to speak with. We were fortunate that we had force majeure clauses in a lot of agreements. And again, if you're reasonable, if you're upfront, if you built a brand equity over a period of time, you've always adhered to your covenants, then people do understand that this is, as you rightly said, it's a complete aberration. And in these times, the anchor tenant, which is important for their malls, which is PVR, has to be supported. So we were completely overwhelmed and very, very touched with most of the developers, almost everybody who came forward and gave us reliefs. So in this time, that's the only thing you can do. When you don't have revenues, all you can do is ensure that your costs are controlled. And so those are the two big costs. And we also, I don't know whether I'm jumping the gun, we were also fortunate enough to get a tremendous support from our investors. We raised two rounds of funds, one through a rights issue, where promoters, everybody, all the key shareholders had to put in money. And then we also did a QIP because we were not seeing any visibility for a long time for people, for the business to come to normalcy. And so that's where we are currently. But whatever workforce, we have got about 6,000 people now in the company. We are obviously, I'm constantly engaged with them on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a larger group, and just telling them the way things are and making sure their morale is up.
Right, that is absolutely the need of the hour. And Mr. Bijli, how do things change now? Do you think the focus is going to be more experiential in nature for customers, for businesses as well? How do you foresee the future of cinema going in India?
See, in the market that we are in is always been run by two very, very powerful engines. One engine that I've already spoken to you about is the customers. We have a lot of people. And I'm not going to say anything which sounds like a self-fulfilling prophecy. There are going to be changes. There are going to be certain people who will say, no, we'll watch it at home. But then again, because the population base of India is so high and bulk of our consumers are between the age of 12 to 39, a lot of people have a huge pent-up appetite to go out. So I think this is one very important engine in our country, which is the consumer appetite, which still considers movie going and cinema to be the number one form of out-of-home entertainment. So I think this one engine will continue to help us post the pandemic. Second engine is really the film industry. About 1,500 to 1,800 films get made in India in different languages, and some, of course, get imported from Hollywood, England, and world cinema. So I think no country in the world has got this kind of a pipeline of movies coming. So I think these two engines have made the business survive for the longest time. And I think this will continue to happen. There are going to be movies that will go to the OTT platforms directly. There are going to be long form entertainment like TV shows, which have always been made, which is all very good. Because I say always something which a lot of people find counterintuitive. But for me, money is flowing back into the film industry, even if an OTT platform like Amazon or Netflix or Z, anybody, they buy a movie. So it encourages the film industry to make more content. And the film industry is also not like only thinking of making content for the small screen. They would like to make big movies as well. Everybody's aspirational to make films and TV shows, all sorts of content. Some are meant for the big screen, some are meant for the small screen, some are short form, some are long form. So it's a great time for content makers as well. And it will be a great time for all delivery platforms as well. Currently, one delivery platform, which is us, we are shut. So it's sometimes I feel it is unfair to compare cinemas when we are shut to a platform which is open. But once everything is open and things, God willing, come back to normalcy very soon, that's the time water will once again find its level. And people who want to go out, entertain themselves, they'll continue to go out. People who want to stay at home, put their feet up and watch a movie at home, they'll do that. But I think the shared experience.
Ajay Bijli, they're talking about how people will eventually want to go back to the cinemas, and as of now, it's unfair to compare the multiplex business with what we're seeing for OTTs, because right now they're completely shut, but pent-up demand, appetite is going to continue for cinemas, and as of now, of course, priority is looking after people's health and safety.